You are now listening to the fastest show on iSports Radio. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., welcoming you to take another lap with Extra Mile for today, July 22nd, 2021. Good evening, everyone, and boy, do we have a lot of controversy to get to, and to help me talk about everything that went down this past week, of course, my co-host Christopher Lehman, and returning with some brand new equipment this week, Michael Ward. Gentlemen?
I'm glad to be back. But I think I came back on one of the craziest weekends in a long time for both sides of the spectrum here in NASCAR and then Formula One. So I am looking forward to this show. Indeed, I'm looking forward to hearing both you and Chris's opinions and everyone else's opinions on Twitter.
I don't want to hear anyone's opinion on Twitter, to be honest.
The less said about Twitter, the better. But anyway,
I think we're good. I think we're good hearing people's opinions on Twitter this week. And I will apologize. I got real spicy on Twitter during the British Grand Prix. And I want to apologize to you, Chris. If it came off that I was biting your head off a little bit, I'm sorry there. But Twitter was getting mad spicy. And I think we all saw that. We're going to get into all of that because we're going to start with Formula One. As we are at the Olympic break, by the way. Originally, this show was just going to be us talking about the F1 season, and of course, H1 Unlimited, they're racing in Tri-Cities this weekend. Let's talk a little bit about that. And then the whole thing with NASCAR happened a few hours later. So this show is going to be about a lot of controversy. I don't think I'm going to do any desk standing, famous last words, but let's go ahead and get into it. We'll start with the British Grand Prix. And we all know what happened on lap number 1. We all know the people involved, but I will recount the story for you.
No longer go for a gap. You're no longer a racing driver.
Thank you. I will recount it to you. Max Verstappen took the lead from Lewis Hamilton. Actually, no. Verstappen was leading from Lewis Hamilton, heading into Copse. Verstappen threw a big-time block down the backstretch towards the old pit wall, went back to the outside. Hamilton stayed on the inside, heading into the corner. The cars drew even. It's a corner you don't want to be too wide in. Somebody has to decide to lift. No one decides to lift. The two cars make contact. Max Verstappen goes flying into the barriers. Lewis Hamilton gets a 10-second penalty, yet comes back to win the British Grand Prix. Michael, you haven't been here in a while, so I'll start with you. Let's just talk about let's just get first your reaction when you saw the crash happen.
To be honest with you, Daryl, I just saw two drivers who didn't want to back down from a fight just collide, honestly. Like, we all know Verstappen. Verstappen isn't the type of guy to back down from a fight, and Lewis Hamilton is the same. So it was kind of inevitable that they were going to collide like that. I mean, like, Verstappen, he's really aggressive, and Hamilton, he's lost the last 4 races against Hamilton. I'm guessing Hamilton might have been like, look, I have to play at your level. I have to be as aggressive as you in order to win, and you saw what happened today. So I just think it was just two drivers who are being aggressive just collided with each other, honestly. What about you guys? What do you guys think?
So, for me personally, I would agree with you. I think it was, and I listened to just about every Formula One podcast you can listen to today, and I everyone came to the agreement that this was Lewis basically saying, like, if I don't get past him, if I don't take this lead, I'm not winning this race. He's on his home turf. He hasn't won a race in like 6 races, if not more. And he's lost all of them to Red Bull, not just Verstappen, but to Red Bull. And so this was a level of aggression that you don't see out of him very often, but you saw it today. And Max is and it's something that everybody knows, but when it comes to wheel-to-wheel racing, he's one of the greatest, because he doesn't back down. And what you saw was Lewis calling him, basically saying, "I'm not backing down either. What happened. And it was mostly a racing incident. I think that the stewards saying that the the crash was predominantly Lewis, but they did not go as far as assigning full blame. I think that's accurate. I think that from the footage, I think that the penalty was fair. I don't think it, one of the big things that is 10 seconds isn't long enough, but something that a lot of people have pointed out was that years ago, when they were deciding these rules, all of the team principals said that the penalties should be based on the accident, not the I forget the terminology, but basically it shouldn't be penalized for what it does to the point standings or who you wreck. It should be on the wreck itself. So I think that the penalty was fair in that sense.
You guys already know how I feel about causing contact penalties in European motorsports. I'm not a fan of it unless it is blatantly obvious. Somebody tries to take somebody out, and that wasn't it, honestly. I know a lot of people are trying to say Lewis Hamilton intentionally wrecked Max Verstappen. Folks, Lewis has been around a long time. He's seen a lot of people go in the barriers. A couple of those folks didn't make it out in his lifetime. Shout out to Jules Bianchi, may he rest in peace, although that was a completely different situation. That was a FIA screw-up more than anything, but I'm digressing. Lewis Hamilton wants to win the championship. I severely doubt he's going to try and kill Max Verstappen to do it. I don't think for a second he went in there thinking, I'm going to wreck this guy. He's thinking, I tried to pass him on the outside here yesterday, couldn't get it done. Because remember, they had the sprint race. These two were side by side in this corner one day before in a race. People forgot that. I went around the outside of the sprint race. He beat me here. He won the race. If I do not get past him right now, I am not going to have a chance of winning this race. He went in that corner and said, Max, either you're going to lift or something bad's going to happen. Because I ain't lifting like I did last week. Or like I did yesterday. Max didn't lift. Lewis didn't lift. We saw what happened. There were some real bad takes in the aftermath of that incident. And some of them came from the paddock itself with Christian Horner and, oh my gosh, Helmet. My team should all get infected with COVID-19 so we can be done with it. Marco, who said Lewis should have been suspended for that accident. Folks, if we're going to suspend drivers every time they get in an accident because they're racing hard, we're not going to have an F1 grid. I get it. It's your guy in the fence, and thank God Max is okay, because we're going to talk about the G-forces of that crash in just a moment. But that's doing too much. And the way Horner and Helmut Marko have acted and continue to act about the incident, one, it's ridiculous. Two, it's unintentionally fueling some of the absolute morons that have said reprehensible things about Lewis Hamilton after this incident. And you can put two and two together about what I mean by reprehensible. We're not going any further than what I've said about that particular part of it tonight. But guys, I get emotions run high, but there's just got to be a time where you say, okay, it happened. We'll get him back at Hungary.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that he went a little over the top. But at the same time, and I'm not necessarily, defending him 100%, but when your star driver is taken to the hospital for further evaluation, I think that I think that it's excusable to a degree. I think he could have had a better temper after race, and you don't necessarily have to say exactly what you're feeling, but that's not the Christian Horner that we typically know and love. He's going to tell you exactly what he feels. I think he would be like the Tony Stewart of F1.
Absolutely.
And he's a bit of a hothead, but he gives you some good takes. And so it's not completely unexpected, but he could have practiced more self-awareness and control. But his star driver is in the hospital, and you guys saw when he got it out of that car, he was limping. And that's had to have been a very scary sight for everybody at Red Bull to see him get out and kind of stumble. I know it was for me. I was like, oh, crap, this is not good. But, I think cooler heads are going to prevail. I think Mercedes probably knows, like, it's an overreaction, it's emotional. And I think that, there was a quote out of Toto where he said, we'll give them a call when they've cooled down. And I think that speaks volumes, that they say, we understand the emotion, and for the betterment of F1, we have to be courteous to each other.
Mm-hmm. Mike?
Yeah, like I said, guys, it's just a racing incident. It's two drivers racing, doing the best that they can, and unfortunately, one ended up in the barrier, and one continued on to win the race. It happens, and I wish I was there for the sprint race discussion. When Russell hit Sainz. Because I think these penalties are getting way out of control, honestly. Because these are racing drivers. They are paid millions to race for our enjoyment. Let's not forget about that.
Lewis is getting $40 million, for example.
Exactly.
That is a crazy number.
They're paid to do this.
When you compare it to everybody else, at least.
Yeah. Because they're driving around some of the most expensive equipment on this planet. And, when they make contact, when one guy spins out and the other guy's, got a bent front wing, in my opinion, that's a racing incident. Especially when the guy isn't trying to hit him, like Russell was. It's a racing incident. People crash when they race hard. Verstappen, Hamilton, unfortunately, Verstappen crashed because they both were racing hard. It's like we don't have this issue in NASCAR because people race hard all the time, and yeah, people crash. I guess the only difference is NASCAR, you have safer barriers and a lot more safety, but in F1 you don't really have that. And I understand the safety concern, but guys, these guys are here to race. They're not here to wait all freaking lap to get to DRS to have a chance to pass somebody. No, they want to pass as soon as possible. So, come on, guys. It's a racing incident. Put the keyboards down.
Yep.
I think it's the phones.
Put the phones, the keyboards, the Pokedex, the pager, put them all down.
So not to change the subject, but Daryl, you obviously know that I'm at Baku in my career, and I'm coming on the final lap, third place, and my game just crashed.
Oh no!
And I'm like, this is obviously my first season, as you guys know, with my started a new team, and I'm in third place. I'm about to podium. I only had to put Norris into the wall to do it, and
there's something that should get a penalty, a 10-second penalty.
Yep, and I'm coming around. I'm coming down the final straightaway, and boom, cuts out.
Oof.
I mean, at least you weren't running 6 and then your engine blows up. Fucking awful.
I don't know. I would rather have that happen.
Yep.
Speaking
and
of
we could talk
F1,
a little bit about F1 2021 here, because that's another big topic that just came out. But I'll wrap it up on the Verstappen-Hamilton incident like this. This ain't over. It's fair game, and as Chris, we talked about this on Sunday. I think you may have brought it up with the spending cap. There's a lot of pieces they're just not going to be able to replicate because that car is junk. Like, I don't think there's a lot that's savable. There's a lot
that the motor is.
Was that it? Is there anything else that was salvageable?
Oh, it is just the motor, yeah. Everything else is trash.
Oh, no.
I think that is part of the anger that they have, is the fact that that car is junk. I think they said that, wow, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Oh, no.
Kimi Räikkönen, just because I just restarted the race, we just heading towards turn one, Kimi Räikkönen pulls a Lewis, same exact corner, because we're just starting, and Kimi Räikkönen sends it from the back and just crushes everybody in his path going into the first.
The AI is super aggressive on lap one in that game.
He lost his brakes, but he was on the inside coming from like 30th. So he just full on sent it.
Yeah. So I say that to say the championship is well and truly game on, and it's going to be interesting to see how much performance that Red Bull, not only has Verstappen's Red Bull lost, but also Perez. Because Perez was also waiting for upgrades that now he might not be able to get because crash damage is counted against the budget cap. So they have to allot money that they were going to use from upgrades to fix that car. It's going to be a real interesting second half of the season. I will tell you that. And with that being said, we now get into the other big news, less controversial this. The release of F1 2021. You know, the three of us are big F1 fans. All three of us have it. At least one of us is currently playing it right now. And I guess we'll give you our version of a review. Let's talk about the game. Let me bring up Steam here quickly. I can tell you how many hours I've got into it. I don't have that much now that I, have a actual job, we'll call it. But I'm about 20 hours in. I've played a little bit of the story mode. I'm about three races into that. It's pretty good. Also doing the My Team career. I've really enjoyed this game. The handling model is a lot different. You can't use the curves in a lot of spots. It is tough.
God, you can't.
Yeah. How have you guys dealt with it? How do you guys like the game?
Michael, let's start with you and your new teammate. Michael rage quit when he found out who his new teammate was.
So, as you guys know, I started an Alfa Romeo career. And also, newsflash, if you're doing a driver career, do not do Formula 2. Because if you win the Formula 2 championship, you get 19 or sometimes 16 McLean and like $12 million. If you do that, teams will not sign you because it costs too much to hire you. So, yeah, don't do that. Big oof on Codemasters' part right there. So just skip F2 and just go straight into F1.
Or don't win F2.
Yeah.
Basically.
Another issue I have is that the AI can be stupid OP in some places.
Mm-hmm.
And some of the driver transfers do not make any sense.
You're just saying that because of your teammate.
So I went to McLaren because they are the only team at the time that had enough money to pay for me. And I went there, and my teammate was freaking he who shall not be named. In the
I didn't hear that
car.
story.
Really? He texted it in the group chat.
I may have missed it. Look, I've been so busy with work, I miss a lot of stuff in the group chat, but I did not realize that.
When I tell you that happened, I immediately deleted my career mode. I refuse to be a teammate to Mr. I spin every race.
Well, there's a lot going on besides spinning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot going on. But, yeah, otherwise, it's a really good game. Like I said, there's still some minor tweaks I would do. The fact that you can not only damage the floor of your car, there's a new damage model. But, guys, I don't know if you noticed this, but if you set the faults too high, your engine can blow up.
Yep.
I
just got one of those faults last night, by the way.
And not just your engine, you can have multiple mechanical failures. Your brakes can fail. Your gearbox can fail.
Yep.
Gotta watch those temperatures.
I lost the energy storage yesterday and had to park out of the French Grand Prix. And it was tough because I'm doing career mode. I'm sitting in like 8th or 9th place. And we just switched the strategy from a 2-stop to a 1-stop because the tire wear was so good. And I'm like, okay, I might have a chance to win this race. So I'm just trying to keep pace with the Sainz was in front of me. So I'm just trying to keep pace with Sainz. We are dropping the two Aston Martins because the engine on my car is just amazing right now. Because we had 2 engine upgrades come through. One of them were major before the French Grand Prix. I'm sitting good. All of a sudden, going through Sector 3, energy storage dead. I DNF'd the race. I was so upset.
Yep. This game is a lot more challenging when it comes to your career mode.
But it makes it fun.
Yeah. It does.
However, if you do the start my team like I did, it's like a lot of fun, but at the same time that your first, I'm back Baku, so I'm really not that far in, but it is impossible to keep pace with these guys. Like I ended up turning my difficulty down. Usually I'm like high 80s, but I'm running at like, I think I looked and I'm like at 80, 79 or 80, one of the two. And just to keep pace with these guys and finish like 12th.
I play at 93.
I'm trying to get back to 90 at the moment, but I had to get used to the new handling model. Also, this year more than anything, the player car in the My Team career mode is junk. And I know I've only had the mode for 2 years, but it's even worse than last year's car.
It doesn't look that great either, if I'm honest.
Well, it's the FOM car that they used to show off what the new rules package was going to be. Now, our car for next game is going to look sweet. When we get the 2022 cars, oh my gosh, I cannot wait for that. But the car is a pig. And with the way you can do the settings now, you can actually make it easier or harder to gain cash and, I was about to say requisition, but reputation and the like, to where you can pick up that car really, really fast, or you can make it a challenge to where it's going to take at least 2 or 3 years to get your car up to snuff. I think that's great for folks that want to continue to fine-tune their difficulty if they think they're getting into later seasons or even early seasons of career mode and thinking, this is a little bit too easy. Let me turn up the AI and turn down the stuff I get a little bit.
Yeah, that's how I am. I'm like a grinder. I like to put a lot of time in and really like do things on my own. So that's why I started out with my team. It's junk right now. I've got a 15th place car at best at any given time, unless I race really dirty, which I do sometimes. But
yeah, you put Norris into the wall.
I did.
into that 15 race points record he has.
Yeah, we were talking about that before you joined, like the pre-show, because I was saying that was crazy.
Lando's penalty point situation is absolutely ridiculous, by the way. He's gotten points for the dumbest stuff. And I don't get what he's done or who he's ticked off, but they are just clubbing him with penalties for the dumbest of things.
Honestly, this penalty system that they have going on, it's really like, I want to say that in some ways it's kind of anti-racing.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like when two guys are racing hard against each other and they make contact, it's like, oh, well, penalty.
It's frustrating.
I don't think they could have gotten away with not penalizing Lewis, though. Like, is racing incident or not, I think they had to do it. I don't want to drag this back up.
Yeah, I think after this got started in Austria,
yes,
when they gave the stupid penalty then. Well, now it's the standard. Now you've got to enforce it. It was a really dumb decision, but now you have to enforce it that way. Because if you don't, it's going to start crap. So now we're just stuck with it.
Oh, I got one more thing about F1 2021 to say.
All right.
There was a race at Sochi, and I'm battling Pierre Gasly. For some reason, the idiot decides to send it down my inside, and we bang tires. Both our tires go flailing off, and we're both out of the race. And I was just like, I really wish there was a fight option in this game, because I wanted to fight him.
We need that in NASCAR 21. Like in the old... Remember the NHL games where you could start fights? We need that in NASCAR 21 where you take somebody out and it pops up with a prompt that says press square to get out and fight or press square to fight. And it's just the two drivers duking it out on the apron. It'll never come to a Formula One game.
I don't think they would allow fighting in F1 though.
No, they wouldn't. But we got 2 minutes, so we're about to go to break. And I guess we can put a bow on the F1 conversation by saying, I guess we can give our, I won't say review scores, but do we recommend our listeners check out F1 2021?
Yes, I do. I definitely recommend this game.
Yeah, I would say that if you like games that are more of simulation based than arcade, then absolutely give this a whirl. But just know, or something to keep in mind is that the handling model is very different, and there is a pretty steep learning curve to it.
Right.
So that's just something to keep in mind.
Oh, one more thing. I will be doing a live stream of the story mode Breaking Point on Twitch. I will tweet that on Twitter I'll tweet that to the Extra Mile Twitter, and I also tweet it on my account. I'm going to be doing this career mode just to go through it with everyone, and also just to kind of promote the show a little bit to more gaming audiences. So it would be great if you guys can swing by. I will try to do it at a time where you guys are available to watch. So yeah, I will be also shamelessly plugging the show like a lot. So
yeah, we will be there we'll be there to check it out. And my recommendation is, if you're not playing it right now while listening to this show, you're doing something wrong. Go ahead and pick up this game. It is Codemasters knocked another one out the park, and I cannot wait to see what happens when we get to F1 2022. We're going to take a quick break. Before we do that, of course, we have to thank our sponsors, Southern California Warriors Semi-Pro Football Team. Folks, you've heard me say it for about 2 months now. The world of semi-pro sports is unlike any other sports organization. Players are out there just playing in hopes of so many different outcomes, either trying to get filmed for pro teams or big-time colleges, or just trying to stay in shape. No matter what, semi-pro players have one thing in common: playing for the love of the game. And the SoCal Warriors have been on a quest to earn titles and give players second chances since 2017. So whether you're in Southern California or anywhere else in the world for that matter, give semi-pro sports a chance and you may get another opportunity you've been waiting for as an athlete. Follow them on Twitter at SoCal Warriors, Southern California _Warriors on Instagram, and Southern California Warriors on Facebook. Thank you so much to Southern California Warriors for sponsoring IE Sports Radio and this show, The Extra Mile. So we'll be right back. Gonna get into some H1 conversation, and yes, Patrick, there's been another NASCAR thing. Talk about that on the other side of this break. This is The Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, everybody? This is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunder Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we are back here at Extra Mile on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And fans, coming up this weekend, H1 Unlimited hydroplanes are back in the water. This time, they're going to be in Tri-Cities, Washington for the Hapo Columbia Cup. Excuse me there. They're going to be in Tri-Cities for the Hapo Columbia Cup, round number 3 of the season. And this was a race that originally was not going to take place, but thanks to the improvement in the COVID-19 numbers there, the Water Folly staff was able to get the race and air show together without social distancing. So the H1 fleet has pulled into Tri-Cities. They're actually in the pits right now, getting ready for the weekend. And this race, I can say, is most akin to NASCAR racing in Charlotte. A vast majority of the H1 fleet is from the Washington State area. There's a lot of inboard hydroplane racing that takes place in the state as well. A lot of outboard racing as well. Just to explain what that means. Inboard, the engine is built inside or stationed inside the vessel. For outboard, the engine is, of course, outside. That's just a quick ditty on that. So this is a big race. There's a lot of local sponsors that get involved. It's going to be some local TV coverage. And we also get to see some boats we don't usually get to see for the majority of the season just because of how this sport is. There's not a lot of Fortune 500 sponsors on these boats. A lot of local companies doing this stuff. And one of the boats everyone's excited to see back on the water, the Griggs Ace Hardware for Go3 Racing, driven by Jimmy King. The U3, they call it the Turbinator because it's the only piston-powered hydroplane remaining in the fleet. The vast majority, in fact, I'll say the entirety of the H1 Unlimited fleet in the modern era are using T55 or T53 in the case of the U440 surplus helicopter jet engines. Now, those engines are a lot more reliable than what's going on with the U3 with the piston power, the old Allison engines that used to be used in World War II. And a lot of those engines were used to great effect in early hydroplane racing. However, that engine can produce a lot of speed, doesn't have the fuel flow regulations that the turbines have to go in to, but a lot less reliable that Allison engine compared to what the T55s and T53s can do, as the U3 team might go through 2 engines a weekend. The rest of these boats will use 2 engines for the entirety of the season. But when this boat gets on the water, it is incredibly fast, and it has won races. This U3 has won the Gold Cup in this configuration a few years ago. This boat is exciting for all the all-time fans of unlimited hydroplane racing. This is the boat they root for. That is the one we are going to be watching all weekend long. And we've had another change for the Madison team. They have brought out the 2018 Miss Madison hull, the baby blue and white, driven by Jimmy Shane. He'll be the sole racer in that boat this weekend. Jimmy is currently in a tight battle for not only the driver standings, the U1 is now leading in the national high point standings for the owners, and whoever wins that championship gets to keep that bright shiny U1 on the side of the boat. Jimmy trying to bring that home. They're bringing out the vessel that has done a lot of winning here in recent years. Going to be exciting to see what happens. And Strong Racing, well, they're one of the boats they're 2 boats in the fleet just trying to recover from all the damage that took place in Madison and Guntersville. For that matter, new orange trim on the wings for J. Michael Kelly's U8. Those boats have been fast, but the drivers haven't had a lot of luck. We'll see what happens here this weekend for Tri-Cities. And for the U440, Dustin Reynolds, Bucket List Racing. Well, folks, they just want to get on the water with that boat. Had a gearbox issue after the first testing run in Guntersville. Was not able to get fixed in time for Madison. Did talk to Taylor Evans earlier this week. The U440 is ready to go for Tri-Cities. We'll see how things go. If you want to watch this action, you don't have to pay for it. Just head over to youtube.com, type in H1 Unlimited, give the page a subscribe, turn on your notifications. You will know when H1 Unlimited goes live. 4 heats of competition this week. 8 boats will be on the water. That'll be 2 heats of 4 for the 4 qualifying heats. That will set up the front line for the winner-take-all final. So that is what's going on at H1 Unlimited this weekend, fellas. Do you plan on checking out any of the racing? Because I can't wait to get this started. I finally got to go to the first one, or go to my first one, obviously, at Guntersville. I've talked about that at length, I think, at this point. I'm excited for this race. I will be watching on my phone from Cambridge on Saturday, but this is going to be a lot of fun, and I hope you guys get to check it out as well.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I'll definitely check. Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like I just cut Chris off.
No. You go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'll definitely check it out because hydroplane racing looks extremely fun, so I will definitely check it out.
Yeah, I was just about to say, same with me. I will definitely be checking it out if time allows.
Well, the good thing is with our Olympic break, we'll have a little bit more time to check out the races, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see. I'm going to see if I can get the points up there, so just to give you an update on how things are. I'm actually over on the H1 Unlimited page at the moment. Jared and Tate have been loading this thing up with pictures and videos right now. So the standings going into this weekend, the U1 Goodman Real Estate presents Miss Home Street leads the way. Miss Madison Racing, the U1, 2,929 points. The U12 Graham Trucking, U8 Miss Tri-Cities, and the U9 Pinnacle Peak Consulting round out the top 4. In the driver standings, that's led by Andrew Tate at 2,425 points. J. Michael Kelly is second on 2,330. Corey Peabody third. Jimmy Shane rounds out your top 4. Jimmy did not run all of the heats in Guntersville. That is why he is back in 4th, despite that boat, the U1, leading in the national high points standings. And Michael, what have you just sent us? Oh wow, massive incident in the in this F1 2021 game. That is, oh my gosh, it's both Haas's, both Alfa Romeos.
From 15 on back.
Wow.
He spun in the worst spot possible, but continue.
Wow, so that's all the Alfa Romeos, all of the Haas's. Please don't tell me that's
Russell.
Is
that George Russell?
And my teammate George Russell.
I thought so.
Even in F1 2021, Russell has no luck at all. So, speaking of folks that have no luck at all, NASCAR officials. Okay, let's get into this.
I don't think it's bad luck. I think it's just stupidity.
Yeah, see, I wasn't trying to go there, but you could definitely go there. Let's get into this. So the Lennox 301 was darkness shortened due to rain, because that's something NASCAR has to deal with. But we're not going to get too much into the race. Eric Almirola pulls off the shock victory, by the way, which didn't have that happening, as nobody picked him to win for nearest the win. But all the controversy happened at the start of the race because it started raining as the race was getting underway. The officials in turn 1 said it was raining. We still started the race. Lap 4, Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., and about half the field goes skidding into the corner. Yellow flag turns into a red flag. Kyle Busch's day is done. Hamlin and Truex's days are adversely affected. This is about the 4th or 5th time, I think, this season we have had weather issues where it's looking iffy to try and start the race. NASCAR starts it anyway, and we end up with a big old mess. Now, I don't know if this is a TV thing that is affecting them, or they are really playing into the DW vortex theory, but this has got to stop. It's getting to the point that we're going to get somebody hurt if we don't stop playing around with the weather. Because if it looks like it's going to be iffy to race, it's probably too bad to race.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. And you know, with my job, not to do stuff, or not to kind of tangent, but we do a lot of agricultural products, and if we load in the rain, it can ruin a load. So my job as the logistics coordinator for our trucking company is I watch the weather like crazy. And if I sense rain is in the air, I call off every product that we are going to go pick up that you load outside in the rain, because I do not want to ruin my product. NASCAR does not take that same approach. They say it's about to rain, let's chance it. Worst case scenario, we get a wreck. And I think that is, I don't want to say dangerous on a somewhere like Loudon where you're not getting, you know, really, really high speeds. I mean, if this was at like Talladega or Daytona, I'd say somebody should be being charged with like not murder, but attempted murder or something. But I think NASCAR needs to take rain and safety a little more seriously. I think this past weekend we learned that safety, no matter what they say, is actually not a priority for them. And there's not much they can say to the drivers, most importantly the drivers, to say otherwise. I think the drivers were already a little fed up about stuff, and whether you agree with their feelings about the Atlanta repave or not, this sent a message to those guys that, you know, TV is more important than the perceived safety of the sport, which is something that should not be a nationally broadcast message.
Michael, did you get to see the NASCAR race before I go into my spiel?
Yeah, it's crazy. Everybody said that that it was raining, and even the officials said it was raining, and they still go ahead and call the race. I mean, it's not much you can say about it. Just a bonehead move, honestly. That's all I gotta say about it. It's just bonehead. I'm happy for Eric Almirola and Stuart Haas in general. They finally got a win, but under some crazy circumstances. What about you, Daryl?
I think we need a leadership change.
I agree.
I honestly think the Steves have run their course. Steve Phelps and Steve O'Donnell. O'Donnell, to his merit, got on TV and he said a bunch of words. I can say that. He didn't really say anything substantive on what went into the decision making to start that race. And I just think at this point, you've given them enough chances to get it right. They haven't. It's time to go in a new direction. And I don't know what Jim France is doing. He is more reclusive than Brian, and that's saying something. But it's time for new leadership at the top. And that includes Jim, to be honest. I honestly think if the France family doesn't want to be a part of the sport in a substantive way, sell it.
Precisely.
Find somebody that's going to take the sport and put some new eyes on it and elevate it for the 21st century. Take your payday and go live at large. Because it feels like over there's a lot of apathy. I think that's the best way to say it. That race should have never started on Sunday. It shouldn't have. And the fact that they started it shows they're just not paying attention to the details. And that's on Steve, because he's on site. Should have made the call. Look, we're going to delay this start. And he didn't. And I think at this point, it's time to, I don't want to say reshuffle the deck chairs. You got to get a new captain of the ship, because this one ain't working.
Daryl, I urge you to reconsider the France family selling, because from what I hear, Justin Marks and Pitbull are interested in buying a series, and they may make an offer that the France family cannot refuse.
Really?
No, that was a joke. They got Chip Ganassi. Why couldn't they get NASCAR as a whole?
Apparently. I'm still tripping over that, by the way. Also, you got me real excited for no reason.
What would you do if Rick Ware bought the sport?
I would say some things on here that would probably get me kicked off the air.
We bought every charter.
God. I don't even want to think about that. Well, the time of the race is about to get a lot slower, I'll tell you that much. Good Lord, they're going to be measuring laps in days. We get 43 Rick Ware cars out there, or 40 Rick Ware cars out there, or 36. How many stupid charters there are? Having 36 Rick Ware cars out there. Goodness. Honestly, I would laugh if non-April Fools, I wake up and Pitbull has bought NASCAR.
I would be right there with you. That would be hilarious.
Like, but seriously, something's got to be done. Like, yeah. And for me, when it comes to O'Donnell and Phelps, it's not just this. When the Georgia voting law thing happened, and we're like a year, and I talked about this particular thing on Dropping the Hammer with Daniel McFadden. When it came to the Georgia voting law, and they didn't say anything about it, That didn't sit well with me. Y'all just came from talking about, we've heard you, we know we haven't done right on racial issues, we're going to try and do it better. Yet that law happens, you have a slam dunk to show people we're changing, and we don't hear a peep. The George Floyd murder trial conviction comes out. I hear from Bubba. I hear about it from Blaney. I don't hear about it from anybody else in the sport. You ran that stupid behind commercial about how we need to listen on racism. Nobody spoke up. So is that cap for clout, or are y'all actually trying to do something? And then
I think it's, so I don't mean to interrupt, but I think it's like every company with pride. During the month of June, every company has changed their logos, their Twitter handles, everything is over to pride. But they don't actually do anything about it. They just they just do what they need to do to make some money off you. And that is the only effort they put in. And I'm not equating pride with the racial injustice. What I'm saying is that the way the company handles it is almost exactly the same. What can we sell if we pretend to be a ally or supporter to said cause?
They got to figure it out, and I don't know if they are. And even on the track issues, the stuff about the next gen car, why is Steve O'Donnell not speaking when people are freaking out about whether or not the car is safe? I need you to break your years plus Twitter hiatus to tell people what is going on with this car that we're about to see race and whether or not it's going to kill somebody. Like, there's a lot that has been done with them. Not taking the criticisms of the NE18D package seriously. That's another one. It's just a lot of missteps where I'm like, okay, I've seen enough. It's time to go in a new direction. And I think that's just what NASCAR needs to do. I really do. Because this can't continue. You're going to get somebody hurt at some point doing this stuff. But we got to get ready to get out of here. Usually this is when we would do nearest the win, but we've got no races really to pick. So I guess we can go with Michael, Christopher. What are y'all doing this weekend?
I have no idea. I'm kind of lost.
Oh, you know me, just gaming.
I was going to say, I'll probably have a lot of seat time this weekend. Not seat time, but controller time.
Yeah.
Maybe check out some hydroplanes.
Definitely.
Also, have you guys ever seen a Red Bull just hilariously take out an Alpine?
No, but I'm assuming that just happened to you.
Yeah, Perez went down the inside of Ocon and just took him out. So now Alpine has no runners.
Oof.
Oh, I forgot to. So, did you guys see the penalty issued today to Hendrick?
Yeah, that was weird. How does that happen?
Clerical error.
Yeah. Well, that clerical error just cost them some money.
Oh, and some points.
Yeah. That was not a good thing.
25 points each per team. So the 48 and the 9, 25 points.
Jeez. Well, I will... That sucks for them, and somebody is going to need to update their resume after something like that. But I will be Saturday at Thunder on the Chomp Tank in Cambridge. If any of our listeners in the Maryland area, I will be down there, have my JMK shirt on. Come down, say hi. We're going to have a lot of fun with my girlfriend watching some limited hydroplanes, but still going to be a lot of fun. That's it for us here, though. Frozen Takes with AJ coming up next. Remember, you can catch Michael on Twitter at Michael_War25. Chris is at Fiji Sims. Make sure you keep it locked to our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and the website, www.isportsradio.com. If you've missed any episode of any iSports Radio show, you can hear the replays wherever podcasts can be listened to. But that is it for this weekend, or for this episode of The Extra Mile. For Christopher and Michael, I'm Daryl, and we will see you at the next green flag. Good night, everybody.